Champions League Game Week 2 had everything. Arsenal cruising past Olympiacos, Liverpool struggling in Istanbul, Madrid flexing in Kazakhstan, Chelsea scraping by Benfica, Barcelona's heartbreak against PSG, and Manchester City getting pegged again. 6 giant, 6 stories which included goals, injuries and drama and plenty of banter. So let's get right into it. My name is Hitesh and you're watching Sultan of Soccer. Arsenal vs Olympiacos, the Gunners scoring 2 goals against Olympiacos, and this is one of those nights where patience and quality both showed on the field. Martinelli opened the scoring in the 13th minute from a classic counter-attack which included pace and directness, and then eventually Bukayo Saka sealed it from a chance that was created beautifully by Martin Odegaard. 2 goals, 2 ice-cold finishes. But beyond the scoreline, what this showed was the performance from the Arsenal's depth. At this point, Arsenal are able to rotate their squad and give the squad players chances, but again, they're able to hold that structure in place. Defensively, Saliba and Gabriel looked really sharp and they were able to absorb the pressure, especially in this initial part of the second half that Olympiacos were trying to put pressure on them. But again, they were able to clear those balls and make sure that Olympiacos cannot score the goal. Another aspect was the midfield. We saw that the midfield of Martin Odegaard, Martin Zubimendi and Mikel Merino were able to press high, were able to add that pressure, and eventually when Rice came, we could see that he was also able to do the same thing. What that led to was creating high turnovers, and Olympiacos could not create any chances through the middle of the park. Another good aspect that I think Mikel Arteta is finally catching up on is his timing of the subs. We saw that he again timed it really well, that brought in fresh energy into the match and eventually created the space for Saka's finish. Olympiacos, in my mind, came in today again thinking that they can do another upset like they did back in 2020 in the Europa League. But this isn't that same Arsenal. This is an Arsenal of 2020. This Arsenal at this point has that depth, has that strength, and also shows that on the pitch they are able to dominate teams. At this point, I think if Arsenal are able to hold this grit, hold this patience that they have, and also finish off the chances that they're creating, they're the teams not just for the initial league phase. I think they can go into the deeper stage of the competition and potentially even making into the finals of this competition. Liverpool fans, cover your eyes. Galatasaray handed Reds a 1-0 shock defeat in Istanbul, but it wasn't just about the result, but it was the fallout. Alisson went off injured, Hugo Ekitike shortly after that went off the pitch as well. At this rate, Arne Slot's matchday squad will consist of basically whoever survives the warm-up. Tactically, Slot wanted his Liverpool side to press high, dominate the ball and suffocate Galatasaray. But on the other hand, Galatasaray were compact, quick counters, maintained their shape, and every time Liverpool tried building momentum through the midfield, the Turkish wall shut it down. The difference maker in this match was Victor Osimhen's penalty, cool and calm finish, and once Galatasaray went ahead, the crowd turned the stadium into a cauldron. And in return, Liverpool had absolutely no answers. My bold take, Slot's system works in theory, but without Alisson's calm distribution and clinical finishing, Liverpool looked like a car that is stuck in second gear. Meanwhile, Madrid, they looked like they were on vacation. But only in this case, their idea of relaxing was destroying a side like Khairat Almaty 5-0 in Kazakhstan. And yes, of course, Mbappé scored a hat-trick. He looked like he was playing against a Sunday League team. He barely broke his stride. Madrid rotated very heavy. In this match, their midfield were pinging passes as if it was their training drills. Their defense was barely tested, and Courtois, let's just say he was probably thinking that why did he even travel? And it was just not about the scoreline, it was the ruthlessness. Madrid smelled blood, they went for it, no mercy, no drop in the tempo. I thought that after that 12 hours of travel, there might be some jet lag and they might not be as dominating as they were, but they still went for it and clearly showcased that what Madrid can do in Europe. Mbappé at this point is just not chasing golden boot, he's chasing rackets. And if this is him on cruise control, I think the rest of the Europe should be scared. Then we had Chelsea versus Benfica at the Bridge. In theory, 3 points for Chelsea, but in reality, it was a snooze fest. They managed to score a scrappy goal of set piece, but not a silky build-up. The rest of the night, Benfica carved out chances, Chelsea huffed and puffed, and Stamford Bridge looked like library during an exam time. Yes, defensively they were more organized, but from an attacking standpoint, zero chemistry, zero spark, no build-up play, but instead it looked like individuals who were playing and hoping that someone else steps up. Chelsea fans might scream that we're back. But where? They're grinding results, yes, that works, but it doesn't scream a contender. It screams more of a team that is barely trying to scrape through and get into the knockout rounds of Champions League football. Barcelona versus PSG. Barcelona's night ended up in a heartbreak. They went 2-2 with PSG and even took the lead, but eventually PSG came back roaring and got the win over Barcelona from Gonzalo Ramos's late goal. Barcelona played well. They pressed PSG, they forced PSG into mistakes and controlled certain phases of the game, but they had the lapses in concentration, and PSG on the other hand created quick counter transitions and they were lethal in those counter transitions. The pace and the power exposed Barcelona's backline, and when it mattered, PSG finished their job. This wasn't a collapse though. Barcelona were well structured and they were brave, but against the very best, all that matters is to finish the job. At this point, I can say from this game that Barcelona gave PSG a lesson in pressing, but on the other hand, PSG gave Barcelona a lesson in ruthlessness. Monaco versus Manchester City. Manchester City probably thought that they had it in Monaco, but let's just say football gods had some different idea. The match ended in 2-2 after a late penalty from Monaco. Manchester City were in control of the game. They dominated the possession, Haaland was buzzing, the midfield was able to recycle the ball easily, but Monaco, they refused to fold. They were able to hit City on transitions, they stretched their backline, and when the chance came, they took it. This match showed City's strength, but also their weakness at the same time. If you can bypass their press and run at their defense, you will get that chance. City, in my mind, are still one of the favorites of this tournament, but Monaco reminded them one thing: no game is safe until the final whistle blows. And that's a wrap of all the big games in Champions League Game Week 2. Which performances impressed you the most, and who do you think bottled it? Barcelona fans, how much did that late PSG winner sting you? Liverpool fans, is slot ball going to click yet? Drop your takes in the comments below. Please smash that like button. And if you want to watch more of these football breakdowns with a side of banter, please subscribe to Sultan of Soccer. My name is Hitesh. Please remember to take care of yourself and your loved ones, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.